call me Old Man Wade.
Damn you, old man!
Wait.
Old ass man.
Shut up, old man. You smell like fart.
No, man!
Old man.
He's so old he got a podcast on cassette.
Fuck, you're old.
Damn it, Wade.
And welcome to the Old Man Wade Show. I am your host, the God of Stubborn, the Lord of Laughter, the Sire of Sarcasm, Old Man Wade. And unfortunately, my co-host, Super Bowl Coffee, is not here. He is out being a wonderful husband to his lovely wife. But I have somebody here who I've been dying to get on the show. Someone who's been actually trying to get on the show for a while, but life gets in the way. We have a man. He does the Why So Serious podcast. Why So Serious? And I've been dying to do that on the show for Lord knows how long. We actually do a show together called Comic Books 101, if I'm not mistaken. I've been drinking, so audience, forgive me. So do me a favor, state your name and your credentials.
What's up, everybody? I'm Brandon, the host of the Why So Serious podcast. I've been doing this thing for a little while now. Old Man Wade's been on my show many times. I was supposed to be on here a while back, but I fell asleep because I'm the worst person ever. It's like just a horrible human being.
Yo, he's on the West Coast, man. Don't let him fool you. He's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, so shit happens.
But yeah, I meant to be on here. I've been dying to get on here. I've listened pretty much every damn week. I love the show. I love all the different people you have on your show. It's just always like somebody like, oh, this person's on the show this week. And you just kick the shit, and it's so much fucking fun. I market my show to like movies and TVs and nerd shit. And we talk some other stuff from time to time. But like, I'm a dude that I played college football. I got a degree in political science and government and public policy. And I never get to talk that shit on my show. So I've been dying to, and I think I'm a movie critic. I'm not, and I do a bunch of other different shit. And so, but I've been dying to talk about other shit. So I was on Stephanie for the Milk and Minutes podcast. Me and Old Man Wade were on there together.
Yes, sir. And
we got to talk about a whole bunch of shit. It was so much fun to just talk about a whole bunch of different shit. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm ready to just kick it. So, anything you bring up, I got something to say.
All right, so do you want to get with the fuck shit first, or do you want to get with the serious shit first?
Let's do the fuck shit first.
All right, fuck shit first. Who's your favorite porn star? Let's get right in. Let's get right into it, man.
Okay. So we have different levels here, okay? Recently, in the past year or so, I don't know why, but I fell in love with Mariah Mills.
Mariah Mills?
Yes. You don't know her? You better hit the Google machine.
Dude, I'm on my phone now. Are you kidding
So
me?
Mariah Mills was an Instagram model. And then one day she was like, I'm going to do porn.
Oh, my.
And then literally she just blew the fuck up. She ended up being on every site. She immediately went to Bang Bros and Reality, all the major sites, instantly, coming straight out of being an IG model. She was also on Wendy Williams one day, and she got huge titties and a big ass, and so and Wendy's trying to shade her and shit, and I'm like, Wendy, you have big, fake, ginormous titties. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Wendy? But when I watch her shit, it's just so she plays the dumb blonde, but she's black. So it's just this weird thing when you watch it because she's this super curvy black girl, but she's always playing the blonde bimbo. So it's always really it's just this odd dichotomy with her. Of course, I like my classics Cherokee.
I think I talked about the show. I'm not a big fan of Cherokee.
Oh, I love Cherokee. By the way, Cherokee's in her late 40s right now and is in unfucking believable shape. I like Jada Fire because, she's fucking fire. And then my guilty pleasure, because we talked about this on Facebook, was Allura Jensen, the fucking white MILF chick.
Yeah, I had to Google her. I was like, oh, I dig it. Okay.
And I don't even know why.
No, and well, if anyone listening, you can Google her. You'll see why. I mean, we're gonna call it like it is, man. Like she's stacked.
Yeah, she's a. You know how like on Juvenile back then, that something's like a big fine woman. Like she's a big fine.
She's a big fire. So I was actually do you remember Leisure Time DVDs?
Leisure Time?
Yeah.
The fuck is that?
All right, so this is where I'm showing my age. So anybody who's over the age of, let's say, about if you're under the age of 34, you probably don't remember Leisure Time. Leisure Time DVDs had this weird combination of porn from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Get the fuck out of here.
I shit you not. I'm pretty sure you can Amazon some of this shit. And like, oh my god, there's this one porn star that I'm mad I can't find anywhere. And I remember one of the first porn DVDs I bought was in Chinatown. And it was this one porn shop, and I bought it. And I was like, oh my god! And like, she was small chest, but she had the not even the biggest, like the best ass I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Like, so it was banging. But it's always funny. That's usually the way I age people, by whether or not they remember Leisure Time.
Yeah, I don't know shit about the Leisure Time.
Yo,
I don't know about that, but I'm looking it up.
Yo, your giggle was the creepiest shit ever.
You know what my what I thought porn was pre like 80s, like late 80s porn. Like my idea was like, oh, they didn't have porn back then. They did, but when I was younger, I said, oh, they didn't have porn. They had Playboy, they had Penthouse, and they had Russ Meyer films.
You know what's funny? I don't think I've ever seen any Russ Meyer films.
Oh, oh. So Russ Meyer was a director who made all these like bimbo flicks, but he was obsessed with huge titties. So every single movie he ever made, all the women stars had the biggest breasts you've ever seen. And this is like in the 70s, 60s and 70s.
Oh, so this is like Debbie Does Dallas type of like oh
Yes.
my, like why are your boobs this fucking big and it makes no fucking sense.
But this is like in the 60s and shit, in 70s. So it's even more like stands out. But it's not just like that. It's like there'll be like fighters or like there'll be like, you know, like Charlie's Angels type characters, but they just have huge fucking breasts.
Have you noticed? Okay, I'm not gonna ask you this question because it'll bring people closer to where you work. But have you noticed how the how it's skewed from where it used to be like blonde hair, no ass, big titties? How it's really skewed to like big asses recently? No, not big ass.
Yeah, of course. I've noticed that because listen, black people, women, and Hispanic women have always had it, and it's just become this thing where white people and white people are like, oh, so our racism doesn't let us be with black women, but we love their shapes. So white women, y'all need to start doing this, and so the white women start doing it, and so now you see all women just like. When I see if I see on accident like a skinny chick, but this is how I've always been. But like, it just looks so odd to see like some like 112-pound woman in porn now. They're all like curvy women, all of them. By the way, okay, I got a question for you while we're hitting this shit. Have you ever seen a clip of the Dancing Bear?
Okay, so there's this show I listen to, and they always say they brought up the Dancing Bear, And one guy would say, you should look it up. Another guy would go, don't look it up. So I've never looked it up. So fuck it. I'm not doing anything right now. So I'm going to look up Dancing Bear. I'm going to do it right on the air right now. Dancing Bear.
Dancing Bear. It is...
Videos.
It's so interesting to watch it.
Porn. Oh, yeah, I've seen this before. This is nothing new to me. Okay, look, man. Look, let me tell you. You know how back when, like, okay, so you're 4 years younger than me. So, almost 5, because you just had a birthday, right?
No, I'll be 32 in a couple months.
Okay, all right. So, when I had, like, so all right. So you're 5 years younger than me. When I look up porn, when I first got into porn, let me just say, when I first got into porn, I was watching porn on my PS2 on my big screen TV. So I didn't really know like what porn was. Like I wasn't there when like the tech savvy people could just type in toys and like sex toys would pop up. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, okay, well, you know what I mean? And I would just go to xvideos.com and I would Google it, shit or whatever. But I didn't get it, and I heard like the Dancing Bear and all that stuff. So I went. There's a really deep porn search you can get into, and I didn't realize how deep it was until I was like, oh, I should stop right here. Yo, like you ever see some shit and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna stop right here because if I go any further, I'm not gonna go any. I'm never gonna stop.
But what I was gonna say and I am from Baltimore, and in Baltimore there was a club called Choices that was popular in the '90s when I was too young to go to, and relatively popular when I got old enough to go to it. And it was like a club, but then on certain nights they would have a male strip club upstairs and a female strip club on the bottom. So they had women dancers and male dancers in different floors. And then they would have these reviews, and then they would have these different things. Like, so in Phoenix, they would have like this thing called the main event. And it would be these male dancers, and they would travel all across the country. And so I remember seeing the Dancing Bear one time. And I was like, oh, this is fake, but whatever, right? And then somebody was like, yeah, but that shit happens in real life. And so somebody said,
are you serious?
Video. So listen. Okay, so me and okay, I don't want to sound like, I'm not trying to be problematic, but we are straight men. And now I'm not doing the Seinfeld thing where it's like, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Look, man, like, okay, let me just put a disclaimer out there. Look, man, the Old Man Wade Show will not tolerate anybody, will not bring anybody on his show, and I will not put on a podcast for people who are intolerant of any cultures, whether it be racial, sexual, or anything else. If you're a cunt, go fuck yourself. If you're a bigot, go fuck yourself. Look, man, I am a heterosexual male. I also enjoy lesbian porn. I also enjoy futanari porn. So, Brandon, don't look it up, man. Just do you. Like,
okay, so what I was going to say, somebody sent me this video. This girl I know sent me this video, and it was like black male strippers. That was like the name of the title. So you could probably look it up in X video or something. And it was like this compilation of like all these like black male review, like, you know, like everybody's seen the flyers in their town. I don't know what happens in Boston because Boston's so white. But they have like these black.
Yo, hold on. Before you get into that, that is a common misconception. Like, there are some. Okay, let me just say this. Just keep your place where you're at now. Okay. You remember Lupe Fiasco where he first popped up with the kick push and all that?
Yes.
All right. So I saw Lupe Fiasco perform at a club /bar called the Middle East, and he went what's the most dangerous place in the world? And like 10 people yelled out Boston. And Lupe went, Boston? Nigga, please. And it was and he's from Chicago. So he hears this shit. He's like, are you out of your fucking mind? So the reason I bring that up is because people have this misconception that like Boston is like super like white and super suburban. There are some hoods in Boston. The problem is there are all the really hood dudes. They're locked up. We don't have. You're from Baltimore, so you have something we don't have. You're in a situation where you could get shot for being black in Baltimore. We don't necessarily have that issue in Boston because we're a more democratic state than most people in Massachusetts. But Baltimore is what, the northernmost southern state? Maryland, right?
Yeah, technically Maryland. Like, Maryland is like literally like on the Mason-Dixon line, so it's very interesting. But in reality, people consider Baltimore a northeast city now.
Which is fucking weird. But, yeah, so when... I get where you're coming from, but it's just a common misconception that Boston is, like, purely white, where it's like...
Well, I know there's a lot of Hispanic people in Boston. I know that.
We get a lot of... There's a lot of Hispanic people. We have a lot of black people. There's also a good amount of Cape Verdeans, too. Which...
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's, Boston, and I just found this out last November, Boston and Rhode Island. There's also a lot of Cape Verdeans in Rhode Island as well. My wife is actually Cape Verdean and white, so.
Oh, okay.
And you've seen pictures of her. You would never assume, like, if you looked at my wife and her name, and you've seen her, like, you'd go, oh, she must be Hispanic. I'm like, no, she's Cape Verdean. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So anyway, you were saying.
What I was saying is, so they have these black stripper things that go across the country, and it's just like, you know, black. They go to some event center and they have a stripper night. It's like, it's like the white people do it with the fucking Australian thing. I forget what the fuck these called, Chippendales, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
But these shits were from like the 2000s and the late 90s and 2000s. And let me tell you something. The shit that you see on the Dancing Bear that's fake, all that shit happens in real life. All, like, the guys would take the women and then flip them over, and I'm sure some of your listeners know, and like pull their pants down, and then, or like rip their shirts up, and then like put whipping cream on their titties and suck their titties up, suck the whipping cream off, and then like eventually like they find a girl who they would like put whipped cream on their dick, and the girl would suck it off, and like in front of everybody else.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, like if you like. Look it up. You'll see.
Pass.
And I'm like, I'll send you the link. And I said, this shit happens in real life. And I was like, I was like, good for them. Because I was like, men do this fuck shit all the time. So like, and nobody thinks twice about it. And I was like, you know how many strip clubs where men go into the back room and they have sex with the woman, or like, the champagne room? What did Chris Rock say? No sex in the champagne room? Like that happens, and so, but the thing with the male strippers is it's so interesting because it's like they get wild there because women aren't nearly as trash as men. It's not like this fear of sexual assault or anything like that. It's just like these women are here to have a great time, and they're fucking have a great time. I'm gonna fucking send this shit to Old Man Wade. And so he can see this shit.
It's funny because people send me shit and they're like, are you going to be offended? I'm like, if you've heard my show, you know I am not offended by a goddamn thing. Like, I don't, like, it's funny. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, man. Look, man. I have seen some weird shit in porn. I've seen some weird shit outside of porn. Like, look, man. Christopher Titus, the comedian, said it best. If it's stopping you from robbing me at an ATM at fucking 3 a.m., I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't care. Why? Here's the thing. This is why I don't understand racism and sexism. It's like, oh, well, the Bible said this and the Quran. Look, motherfucker, why do you care? If they're going to hell and you're going to heaven, why do you care? Why do you give a fuck?
Because they think that they have to save them. I have to save them.
Now, bust this. I got baptized. And one of the things that said was you had to testify. And, testimony and blah, 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 blah. But they also said that you are not supposed to force religion on somebody.
Right.
So, I've also done I'm not going to say a lot. I've done a decent amount of studying on religions. And most of them all say the same thing. Where it's like, don't force your religion on someone else. So, why?
Yeah, that's all people do.
Why though? Why is that a thing?
But here's the funny thing about that though, right? Because we live in a Christian society, and the interesting thing about that is that Christians are really quick to go like, "Oh, why don't you come to my church? Or God says you should do this, or God says you should do that." But if it were as soon as and they even do what they call them, mission trips, like that's a whole thing, doing mission trips and stuff like that. But as soon as I tried to send it to you on Facebook, and Facebook won't let me send you the link. It's Pornhub.
Dude, this fucking. I'm gonna fucking text you my number so you can send me some shit.
But as soon as other religions do that, it's like you're trying to bring Sharia law down on us. Like it's that whole thing, right? So it's really, really weird too when you hear that, because it doesn't make any sense. And if whatever religion is, then believe it, right? It should be enough for you to believe it. And what happens is people want everybody else to believe it, and to tie this into politics. So
fucking tied into politics. Who gives a shit? So old man Wade show. Go fuck yourself.
Then what happens with that is the same people are Republicans and conservatives. The same people who are like, we don't want Muslims because the Muslims are going to change America. And we shouldn't have any religion running the church. Are the same people who want to make rules based on religion. The whole pro-life, pro-choice thing is marred in your religion. It is for the most part. And so you're basically, and so many other things with regards to sex or contraception, all those types of stuff, right? And so you start tying those things in, and it's basically about my religion is better than yours. And there's like a song, it's not a song, there's a bunch of songs, but like, if you think about the history of the world, right, and all the wars and stuff that happen in the world between countries, do you know, like what percentage of that is guided by religion? Like a ridiculous high amount of the wars and stuff that's happened in the history of our country is as a result of one religion saying, I don't like your God, and the other religion saying, I don't like your God, my God's the real God, and then they fight over who's the real God. And as opposed to just saying, yeah, I believe in my God. If you believe in a different God, that's fine too. That don't got nothing to do with me, I'm good. And you know how much less death there would be in the country, in this world, in the history of this world, like just so much death, less death.
Well, I remember it was one of the first comic books I read, and they said more people have died from religion than cancer and something else combined. And it was this whole thing. It was like, what makes that better than the next death? And it kind of struck me because it was. I couldn't really think of. Again, I'm a young guy when I thought about this, but it was like I couldn't think of an answer for that because I didn't know much about politics. I'm like 20 years old and I don't know no better. And all I could think to myself was, yeah, why do we fight wars? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for nothing. It's almost always religion. Like, almost always. Like, the war on terror, that's a religious war. Like, the the Pakistani and Israel, that is a war on territory, but it's also based in religion. Like,
Yeah.
it's all of that. All of it is. And it's always, my God is the real God, your God is not. And people pretend, and the United States, America was supposedly found. This is the other funny thing, right? Conservatives love to talk about the founding fathers and the history of our country. It's problematic and as fucked up as it is. But the founding fathers, to me, are, as someone as a political person, is always interesting because they did have good ideas. Like, they did have a good framework. They were just flawed, fucked up people trying to execute these good ideas that they came up with. But the whole premise of America was to get out from under the Catholic Church. And that was like the whole original thing, was to like move here, have freedom of religion, do not have the church running the state. Separation of church and state is like the pillar of our Constitution.
And where are we at now?
And yet those people who celebrate that shit are the same people who try to rule based on their beliefs in church. It's so ridiculous.
It always cracks me up when we talk to people about things like that, and they're like, "Oh well, like, we're a God country." No, we're not a God country. Our money should even say, "In God we trust."
No, they shouldn't. But people would lose their shit if they took that off.
But why? Why do you think? But like again, you have a political science degree, so why do we harp so much on the fact that it says, "In God we trust"? Why do we still harp on a Christian God, considering that we separate ourselves from England, fought a war over it?
Because they don't. Well, they also separate Catholicism from that. It's a whole thing where it's just, it's like, I grew up in the black church and I'm not very religious anymore. But when you start thinking about things, and this is not me telling anybody what to believe or what to not believe, but when you start thinking about things, right? So like, so many people are aware of white supremacy and slavery and Reconstruction, everything that leads up to that, right? And all the harm that white people have done to black people in history. But so many black people, especially in the South, are uber religious. And so if you say to them, and I was calling out conservatives because it is much worse with conservatives than it is with black people.
Yeah.
But when you call out, when I would say to a black person, I'd be like, you do know that the overwhelming majority of us did not believe in what Christianity is when we were in Africa, right? Like, that was taught to us by the slave owners, and they don't want to hear that. Like, I remember being in church one time when I was younger, when I started like moving away from the church as much, and I was just like, and I said that I was like in vacation Bible school or something, and I was like, I learned in school that there were like hundreds of different religions in Africa, and none of them were really Christianity as we know it today. That was more of a European thing. And I said, why do we believe this when it was taught to us by slave owners, but we don't fuck with slave owners for anything else? And they didn't have the answer. And when they couldn't answer, that's when I started like reading more shit and moving away from that. And that's not me telling anybody else what they should or should not do. But that's me saying that even, like, anybody can fall under that thing. Because once you taught something, you teach your kids that, and it's indoctrinated with you. And then you go and you go and you go. And depending on who you are, if you don't give people perspective with it, then it can be very harmful. There's a ton of good Christians in the country that aren't oppressive to gay people and aren't oppressive to women, right? But if you actually go and read the Bible, and Old Man Wade said this in one of our other show when we were talking about female comic book heroes. If you go and read the Bible, like the stories that the way women are portrayed in that book is horrible. They're almost all of them are portrayed badly, are not seen as good people, positive people. And so you have to ask yourself, like, Why is that? And if you have to keep making concessions for things, then you might need to ask yourself why do you? What about that is aligned with what you believe today? Or is it possible? Because this is what a lot of people do that are devout Christians. They go, yeah, things change over time. Like that was there, and it was fucked up. The principles are there, and I just choose to live by the principles and not by the letter of the law. And so, but the people who run this country, a lot of them do want to live by that letter of the law, and the ones that don't care, like a lot of Democrats are pro multiple religions or even being atheists and things like that, but they know even they can't win. Like there's no Democrat that can get up on stage and say, like, here's the thing, right? People were always like, oh, we'll never see a black president. And I always just like, and a lot of people were always like, no. What we won't ever see.
I'm sorry, it's funny. You're like, no.
What we won't ever see is an atheist president. We will see a Muslim president. We will see a Jewish president. All of those before we see an atheist president. Because the idea of someone being like completely separated from religion is scary to a large percentage of the majority of people in this country. And it doesn't make any sense because people say to atheists, well, how do you have any morals?
Okay.
The only place I can learn morals is from the Bible?
Pause right there. So I have a gigantic issue with Steve Harvey because of that exact phrase. I have morals, and they don't necessarily come from the church. I had a grandmother, God rest her soul, who put the idea of religion into me. I have morals because I know the difference between right and wrong. When I did things when I was a kid and I was a teenager, and I did them, I knew they were wrong, but I was like, I hope I can get away with it. Mm-hmm. But I knew they were wrong. Now, I wouldn't say I'm atheist, but I would say I'm very agnostic about a lot of things. And
Same. You're pretty similar to me.
Yeah, so like perfect. You know what? I'll give you a perfect example. There's a woman that used to work at my job who would absolutely fuck me if I wanted her to. But I didn't. And they were like, well, you would get away with it. Your wife would never know. And I'm like, that's not the point of me not fucking her. Right. The point of me not fucking her is because I married a woman that I love, and I don't want to hurt her, and I don't want to betray her. So it's like, my morals had nothing to do with church. My morals came from an idea of what I understood my wife and my wife wouldn't want to do. Now, the flip side of that is, me and Charmaine had a conversation about open relationships. And she like expanded my mind to what works when it comes to an open relationship. My homegirl Shenanigans, when like she talks about her open relationships, I had to expand my thinking of an open relationship in a polyamorous
relationship. But here's the thing: an open relationship or a polyamorous relationship is not cheating. It is a different. It's not cheating.
Exactly.
Because cheating is deceit. Cheating is doing it in the cloak of night, trying to get away with it. I talked to Charmaine a little bit about this, but I'm pretty sure if Charmaine's husband just was out having a full emotional and sexual relationship with someone else, and she knew nothing about it, and it was hidden from her, that would not feel the same way because it's not the same.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's rule, and to quote a really like hip hop term, there's rules to this shit. Mm-hmm. So like, and it was funny like because for a while, like for me, it was like, and again, as a person who came from a stance of ignorance, I thought that like a polyamorous relationship, you just go fuck whoever you wanted to, but that's not the case. Like, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, if they're fucking someone or having sex with someone or having an emotional, physical relationship with someone, there are rules that come to this. And I didn't know that. So I had to go to someone, and I had to go to other people who could explain these things to me. Because as a decent human being, I didn't want to offend somebody. I had a conversation while we recorded our last podcast with Kelly Thompson, and I was like, I just randomly tweeted, "Hey, Kelly Thompson should write a solo series about American Chavez." And she was like, "I don't know if this is a joke or not." And I'm like, "Oh fuck, she does West Coast Avengers." And I apologized. I'm like, "Yo, my bad. Like, I wasn't thinking, blah blah blah." And she was cool with it, but it was funny because someone said, a male having a conversation with a female, knowing he was wrong and apologizing for it, and then they move on. I was like, and he was just like, "This is what the world should be like." And I'm like, and I wanted to comment, but I'm like, no, there's nothing that needs to be said because he said everything that was going on in my mind. Mm-hmm. And I think people have this weird conception that, like, they need to speak. Does that make sense?
Yes. Makes perfect sense. But here's another thing to bring some more function into it. Speaking of not fucking someone and having to do with your church, and it wasn't because you grew up in the church. Have you been hearing about Pastor John Gray?
No.
So Pastor John Gray, he's like this megachurch pastor, right?
Oh, fuck them dudes. The rest of that. You say megachurch, like, fuck them dudes, then. Like,
and some months ago it came out that he used quote unquote church money.
Hold on. Before you continue, I'm gonna guess. Black?
Yes. He bought his wife a $275,000 Lamborghini.
Oh, of course he did.
And so then it comes out that the reason why he bought his wife a $270,000.
Hold on. Let me see if I can guess. He cheated.
He cheated, yes. but
oh, there's
he
more?
claims that he, quote, had a, quote, emotional affair. So he didn't have sex with this woman, but he would just call and talk to her on the phone, and they became really close. And they found out that he bought her a BMW and paid some of her bills. And so people are like, so you did, and then guess what comes out of this, right? He's still in charge, and he's still passing the church. They didn't get rid of him.
Of course he is.
And now him and his wife are doing a tour on relationship building.
Of course they are, because that's where the money is. Let me tell you, okay, bust this. We're both married men, right? Mm-hmm. How long have you been with your wife? I'm not talking about marriage. How long have you been with the wife? From now to the time you started?
So 10 years.
10 years. All right, I've been with my wife. It'll be 12 years come August, right? Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. I know the difference between cheating and not cheating. If I ever, and I'm pretty sure you've been in my situation, find a woman who's hitting with me, I immediately go, yeah, me and my wife do that too.
yeah.
Move the fuck away from me, bitch, because I am married and I'm happy. And it's funny, we have the same ring. I noticed that, like, we have the both same black ring with the ridges on it that we both probably take off when we're washing our hands because it's annoying. Yes. Because it's annoying getting the grit and grime off that shit at the end of the day. So, I don't understand. Okay, if you're gonna this goes for anybody, whether you be regular person or megalomillionaire. If you don't want to be faithful, why the fuck would you get married? Mm-hmm. Look, man, and I've said this on the podcast before, and I will say it again. Me and my wife were sitting in the car one day, and she was like, and my wife was like, and at the time, my girlfriend, she goes, I was reading this article about why men don't cheat, and the number one reason was because you don't have the energy. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Look, man, I'm not trying to please one woman. I'm not trying to please more than fucking one woman when I can barely please the one that I have. Fuck you. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And it's befuddling how, like, it's like when dudes get caught, or excuse me, let me not say dudes. when people get caught and they're like, I don't know what happened, you know what happened.
You know what happened.
You know.
Now, I will say this. I personally don't believe, I do think that other things are worse. I think that society has created this thing where, like, if you have sex with someone else, that is the worst thing you can do in a relationship. And I don't believe that.
I agree. I agree 1,000%.
There are people in relationships where a man or a woman have had a lapse of judgment and had a one-night stand or have had sex or done those things. And that, I'm not saying those are good, but I'm saying they've done those things. But they absolutely love their spouse. They support their spouse. They are good for their spouse. And they should stay together and be together. And I also think there are men and women who have never cheated on their spouse and are shitty husband and wives and live in sad, dysfunctional relationships. And they don't talk to their spouse. They're not friendly with them. They're not friends. Like, and those things to me are a much worse sin, to use the term, in a relationship. And that's not me excusing cheating, but I'm just saying the world looks at cheating as this is the ultimate thing you can't come back from. When, in my opinion, it's like I told my wife, I would be much easier for me to come back if you told me, yeah, I went on this trip one time and I had sex with this person and it didn't happen again. I can come back from that, as opposed to like we don't talk to each other, we don't do anything together, we just kind of be in the house, but we always arguing, or you go to other people for your problems and never talk to me about your problems. You never talk to me about personal things. You go to everybody else. Like those things are to me are things you can't come back from. That's what you need in a relationship. Now, if you have somebody that's having a whole relationship, that's different. But like a one-off sex thing is something that, to me, is overblown in pop culture and in society as this end-all, be-all thing you can't come back from.
Well, I agree 1,000% because I also agree. I also say that Method Man had a song with Capadonna, and I want to say it was Street Life, and it was like Love is Love, Love, and it was like it made a lot of sense. It hit me at that time in high school because it's like it's not necessarily what you think it is, like because sex isn't necessarily love. Sometimes it's just a physical thing. Me jerking off could be the same as me having sex with someone to me. So that could be the same thing as someone else who's like, oh, well, I jerked off while watching this pornography, and to them it's the same thing. But to other people it could be the same as cheating. I'm not here to talk about what is and what isn't right. But I've also come to realize over the last couple of years that what I feel isn't cheating isn't the same thing as someone else. I understand that there are other people who full-heartedly believe that, all right, well, you had sex with someone else, and they're cool with it. I'm not secure enough to deal with that shit. My wife has flat out said, you cannot have sex with someone else. So guess what I don't do?
Have sex with someone else.
Fucking exactly. I don't need to. Like, I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I'm fucking good. Like, you know what I mean? My wife satisfies all my sexual needs. I don't need to go anywhere else. Now, if my wife was like, hey, for the next year, I can't have sex, so go fuck all you want, I would still feel some sort of way because it's like, I know deep in her heart, she's not going to be okay with that. So, right. I won't do that because
you know your wife.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it all really comes down to, like, what you and your wife have conversations about. You and your significant, I shouldn't say wife. You and your significant other has conversations about. My wife has flat out said, no, it's me for the rest of your life. If you're not okay with that, then we can't be together. I'm cool with it. And I'm pretty sure from what we've talked about, your wife has said the same thing, or has discussed the same thing.
We haven't had the conversation, but it's implied. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, you know exactly what it is. And I think that, and here's where I think the problem lies. I don't think people have these conversations anymore. I don't think that, and it's not even just the simple conversations of relationships. I think it's also the complex conversations where people discuss sex. And people go, well, how do I have these conversations about sex? I'm like, you have them. Like, if like I'd be mad if I was getting a blowjob and someone bit my dick. I'm like, well, don't bite my penis, man. Well, how was I supposed to know? I'm like, well, okay, well, fine. I didn't tell you not to bite. I didn't tell someone not to bite my penis. You know what I mean? Because I feel the same way if I was going down and one woman liked her. Okay. You know what? People listen to the show, whatever. If I bit this girl's clit and one girl liked it and another girl didn't, then it's like, two different women who didn't like the same thing. Mm-hmm. You have these conversations on whether or not you enjoy them or not. And that's,
yeah, absolutely.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. You gonna watch WrestleMania?
Oh, yeah. I took the next day off.
Because it's going to be long as fuck.
Well, not even... Okay, so my buddy, shout out to blackrabbit.com, BLAQUERABBIT, blackrabbit.com. He actually does... I'll actually send you a link. You'll actually enjoy the shit that he does. He writes for WrestleZone.com.
Oh, okay.
So he does all of the SmackDown, Raw, and I want to say TNA live coverage. And it's funny, you guys have probably interacted and didn't even know it. But he's my best friend, and like whenever WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and usually SummerSlam and Survivor Series, we get together and we hang out, we drink, and we eat, and we talk shit. And because he has to cover this shit, I end up being the, hey, what the fuck just happened? It was a clothesline, a drop kick, and then an arm drag because I know the sport. But WrestleMania, like I was super amped for it, and then they got into the whole like Charlotte Flair thing. I'm like, why are they adding her into this? Now I don't really give a fuck.
So I went to WrestleMania the last 2 years.
You went?
Yeah, I was in New Orleans last year, and I was in Orlando the year before. And I was going to go this year, but then I got a new job and moved to California. And I wasn't flying back to New York, but I was going to drive up from D.C. when I was back home. And I became friends with my man Rich Fan and Cameron Hawkins from the PW Torch, like the famous newsletter.
Make sure you send me their math so I can promote them.
Yeah, so they're going to be on our show. Rich is going to be on this week to preview WrestleMania, and then Cam and Travis are going to be on from after WrestleMania to recap it. And I love them because, and I like the Torch because the two prevalent like newsletters and websites in wrestling are the three biggest ones are the PW Torch, the Wrestling Observer, and Mike Johnson's PW Insight, Pro Wrestling Insight, right? And the Torch I love, and I subscribe to them, I'm a premium member, because they do good work, but also they have black voices on there. Like they have Cam, they have Travis, they have Rich, they have people that represent me and can like speak to what I want to hear from my perspective. And so it's been very interesting hearing their commentary, and I agree with them. But we've talked about me and them have talked about it a lot on Twitter, but everything that's going on with Kofi Kingston.
When you're done, we can speak on that as well.
Yeah, because and Cam, he did a great article. You can find it on the PW Torch website. Called like, no, there hasn't been a champion like Kofi. And Cam and I and others are quick on Twitter because there's a bunch of idiots who are always like, there's never been a black WWE champion, just completely erasing The Rock, right? And so even
hold on. Let me just say this: there has not been a black WWE or WWF champion. The Rock just started really going into the fact that he was black and Samoan. He's always acknowledged that his father is Rocky Johnson, who is a black man. We haven't had a black WWE champion. The closest we've had is The Rock. Now, here's the funny part about that. Depending
Well, The
on...
Rock is black. Like he's
No. You're 100% right. Now, here's
he's never shied away from it either. The WWE. So here's a distinction. The WWE put more emphasis on his Samoan heritage.
Oh, no. You're right.
King Star. But you gotta remember, he was in a Nation of Domination. Like, that was pretty fucking black.
No. That's not the point I'm getting at. Here's the part that a lot of people will forget. Kofi Kingston, while from Boston, he has roots from Ghana. Now.
No, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Huh?
So, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, what I'm wondering is how people will react to the fact that Kofi Kingston, if and I think when he wins the WrestleMania, will he be considered the first black WWE champion, or will people consider him not the first black WWE champion because he's very proud of his heritage of Ghana?
No, so this is what I was going to try to tell you. So Cam wrote an article for the PW Torch called "The Ballad of Kofi Kingston," right?
Oh God!
And he said, "Who does Kofi Kingston sing for? Like, who does he represent?" And basically, what he was saying is, no. The Rock is black. He's a WWE champion, but there has not been a black person pushed on WWE television like Kofi Kingston. And by what he means by like Kofi Kingston, what he means is the black everyman. So he basically wrote the article. He's like, look, if you look at all the black wrestlers in any company in the last 30 years that have been pushed hard, they're all the Superman type people. They're big, black, strong, like freakish athletes, or ridiculously big or ridiculously strong. And then The Rock, who's ridiculously charismatic. But outside The Rock, you have like Ahmed Johnson and Booker T and Stevie Ray and Junkyard Dog and Mark Henry and Bobby Lashley and just these big, strong, fucking beast men. And that's fine. I'm not knocking them at all. He wasn't knocking them. But what he's saying is there's never been the black everyman because people can. It's just like in sports. People marvel at the black athlete and say that they're faster and stronger. But in the past, they would never let them be quarterback because they didn't think they were smart.
It's very Mandingoish.
Yes, it's very Mandingoish. Whereas Kofi Kingston, he's 6 foot, 200 pounds, he's a really good athlete, but he looks like a regular dude. He's an everyman. He's Dolph Ziggler. He's the Miz.
What is funny?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say this on here, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some people who get pissed off at this. You're a Dolph Ziggler fan just as well as I am, right?
I tolerate Dolph Ziggler.
Okay. Go back and read the lyrics or listen to the Dolph Ziggler song. It sounds very much like white supremacy.
Really?
I'm here to show the world. Come on. Here we go. Let me quote the part that really got me. I hold my life here in my hand. What you work hard for, you'll never understand.
Oh, that's interesting.
Go back and listen. Go back and listen. Go back and read the lyrics. Like it's a thing. Matter of fact, fuck it. I will look it up.
Yeah. So he basically explains like Kofi's Dolph Ziggler, Kofi's The Miz, Kofi's CM Punk, Kofi's Dean Ambrose.
He's Daniel Bryan.
He's Daniel Bryan. He's all those guys.
He's literally had to work just as hard as Daniel Bryan. No, he had to work harder than Daniel Bryan. And I made a joke to a buddy of mine, and it was like, how many fucking gauntlet matches did Kofi Kingston have to go through?
2. And then the New Day had to go through 1.
Yeah. And I made the joke, it was like, Vince was like, the black man is a superior race, so you know what we're going to do? Run the gauntlet.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that, though. All those white dudes that I named are all past champions. Kofi Kingston has never even had a one-on-one title match in his career.
Really?
He's never had a title match, one-on-one, ever. And so this storyline has been a little difficult for us because I don't have a problem with using race in a storyline. That's what storytelling is, and race is part of life, and sometimes you can use it in storytelling.
Yes.
Not just wrestling, but any storytelling. The problem with this is that you have a story that you're alluding to race, but you can't come out and say it because you're not skilled enough to handle that tactfully. But on top of that, not only can you not handle it tactfully, but you can't come out and say what it is because what it is actually the reason why it didn't happen in real life and not just a storyline, right? So, like, what Vince McMahon is alluding to in the storyline is that you don't look like the person I want to be champion, meaning like a regular looking black dude. Like, I don't want a regular black dude being champion. That's a subtle story, which would be fine, except we know that Kofi Kingston has never been given that opportunity because he's a regular looking black dude, right? So it's hitting too close to home because when the owner has racist tendencies, and the reason why the character is not doing something racist, which might actually be the real reason why he's never had the opportunity in storyline, it creates this paradox that fucks shit up. And I've heard people say, well, Kofi has never been that over. Kofi has been over for a while.
Well, there's
And then before that, he was over. And then I say to you, well, Jinder Mahal was WWE champion. Jack Swagger was champion. You can't fucking tell me they were more over than Kofi Kingston has been in the past 10 years in different points in his career.
There's also the one of my again, the same guy who writes for BlackRabbit.com, he brought up a point that it all came full circle where Randy Orton did, I forget what it was, he hit Kofi Kingston, he beat Kofi Kingston, and he was like, you dare try to challenge me, type of, like, kind of thing. And then when Kofi beat him, he did the same exact thing to Orton to kind of be like, yeah, it's all come full circle now. What the fuck you gonna do now? So it's not like you had to, like, again, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Jack Swagger, Christian, Edge. Like, these are all guys who weren't the stereotypical big, like, WWE. We're going to take Kurt Angle and Edge out of that. They weren't the stereotypical big.
Kurt Angle's small. Kurt Angle's not, he's only like 5'11". But Edge is a big dude. Edge is like 6'4".
Yeah. But
then
then
Jack Swagger's like 6'6".
But you had to get, like, you had to be 6'4" and The Rock, or
right.
Mark Henry, or
or Bobby Lashley.
But Bobby Lashley was never even, like, world champion.
Yeah, but he's had world champion matches.
Yeah.
What the thing with Kofi Kingston is, he's never even had a title shot. Not even a one. Like, Mustafa Ali had title shots. How many random dudes have had champion matches with the WWE champion? Kofi Kingston's never had one WWE championship match.
So let me keep it fair, because I know you know the brand. So I want to, because people are going to go, well, this guy you had on the podcast doesn't know the brand. I'm like, you know the brand. So what will you say to people who go, well, Kofi Kingston had his chance in mixed challenges. He had not mixed challenges. Kofi Kingston had his chance in, like, 6-man challenges and ladder, like, matches. What would you say to people who go?
So he's never had a ladder match for the championship. The only match he's ever wrestled for the WWE championship is the Royal Rumble.
Well, he had again, play devil's advocate. He had the Hell in a Cell match. He had.
Oh yeah, the Elimination Chamber. That was his first one. That was the first match he was ever in for a WWE championship. That's the point. When they started the storyline. And so when you're doing that storyline, and you can't tell me, because the story, because JR said something, and my man blocked, because JR blocked a friend of mine on Twitter.
JR blocked somebody?
JR was like, I don't like race, politics, or religion in my wrestling. Kofi Kingston is an underdog story. And my man was like, yeah, this is the old white man saying that. He's like, why is Kofi Kingston the underdog? Right? And you can't answer that question. Why is Kofi Kingston the underdog against Daniel Bryan? This isn't Daniel Bryan versus 6'7" Batista, 6'4" Batista, and 6'5" Randy Orton, and 6'4" Giant Man Triple H.
It's not like Finn Balor It's not like Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, this isn't Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. This is Kofi's bigger than Daniel Bryan, and he's equally as athletic. And yeah, Daniel Bryan's at championships, he's a good wrestler, but this isn't a traditional underdog story. Unless he's an underdog because he's black. Because what else would make him an underdog? Kofi's, he's a 7-time Intercontinental Champion, 10-time Tag Champion. Like, he does all these cool things in the Royal Rumble. Like, what makes Kofi, in storyline, why is this an underdog story? What about Kofi Kingston is an underdog story?
Well, you'll lead me to believe that, like, I'm a Shelton Benjamin fan. I'm a big Shelton Benjamin fan. I think that Shelton Benjamin is better than 95% of the roster in the ring. I think that Shelton Benjamin is better than Brock Lesnar. I think Shelton Benjamin is better than he's not. He's probably not better than Bryan. He's not that better than Daniel Bryan. But like, I think Shelton Benjamin is one of the best wrestlers we've ever seen.
Shelton Benjamin's never really got over his personality.
But that's my point. So Brock Lesnar
has. The Kofi has.
But that's my point. It's like Kofi has always gotten over from personality when he was like when Triple H called him out and he's like, "Aren't you supposed to be Jamaican?" And like even after that, like the feud he had with Randy Orton was fucking epic. And let's take a step further to R-Truth. When R-Truth was evil, villainous, the truth will set you free, and he didn't have any entrance music, R-Truth should have been world champion then.
And R-Truth had a feud with John Cena for the championship. But R-Truth is also 6'4", 235, 240 pounds. People forget that. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston is the Daniel Bryans, the CM Punks. He's all of them, but he's black. But because he's black, he can't be seen that way until now, right?
But why is that a thing now? Like, why is that a thing where you have hip hop being the premier genre when it comes to like music, where it's become like, you know what I mean? Like, we dictate what like fashion is. We dictate a lot of things. Like in the urban culture, in the black urban culture, we dictate a lot of things. So why has it not gotten to the point where, like, fucking what's the guy who Bray Wyatt just impregnated JoJo? You know what I mean? Why have we not gotten to the point where it's like,
because one man is in charge, Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon is a 72-year-old man who sees things a certain way. Right?
But like, would you get a guy like Triple H? Let's take Triple H for example, who always makes sure, like, if we're going to be honest about things, I don't think Triple H is even top 5 or top 10. So let's get that out there. But like, Triple H also recognizes talent. So like, he has NXT rolling around, and he realizes that a guy like Velveteen Dream and Ricochet are the future of the WWE.
Yes, but what do you think Vince thinks, right? Because it doesn't matter what Triple H thinks now. Vince is going to be in charge until Vince is not in charge anymore. And so you can tell by when those NXT characters get called up how they get treated on the main roster. It's almost never as good as when they were in NXT. And by the way, Triple H, I'm not going to sit here and call Triple H racist, but Triple H knows who his boss was.
Yeah.
Do you remember WrestleMania 19?
Are you gonna bring up the Booker T thing?
Yes.
Okay, let me just say,
that's not on Triple H. That's on Vince.
Yeah. When you hear the most recent show with Black Rabbit, he actually brings up that whole thing with the Triple H. He stays by saying Booker T should have been champion.
It was one of the most despicable things you've ever seen in wrestling. They did a whole racist storyline. They even asked Booker T to dance for him. Like, whole racist storyline. You're from the ghetto. You're ex-con. You're not, blah 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 blah. And then Triple H has always been a selfish person in the ring, but I don't blame him. That's what you should do in a single sport. And so he goes to Vince McMahon in behind the scenes, and he goes, I just don't think Booker T is the right guy for this. I think the belt should stay on me.
But what's funny is when they let him actually be him, when he was like world champion with Carmella, and he let Booker T be who he was and let him actually shine. He was one of the more popular guys. Because
but even think about this: Booker T didn't get to be champion in WWF until he was an English king.
Fuck.
He was 5-time WCW champion. But
how many times?
WWE, he didn't win.
How many times?
5 times.
How many times?
5 times. 5 times. But in WWE, he didn't win the championship until he was King Booker. The antithesis of a black man.
Fuck. I really wish Javi was here for this conversation. Damn it. Fuck. Alright, fuck it, man. We'll keep going this. So, why did they give Mark... Okay, because I'm agreeing with you. Why give Mark Henry a 2-month title run?
First of all, he won the World Heavyweight Championship, not the WWE title.
Yeah, but beyond that, because
But Mark Henry's a big fucking beast. That's why. He's a big, scary motherfucker. Vince is okay with that. He's okay with his big, strong black guys. He'll push those dudes. Ahmed Johnson, he loved fucking Ahmed Johnson. He knew he was trash.
Ahmed Johnson, look, I'm a Titus O'Neil fan. Ahmed Johnson is a poor man's Titus O'Neil.
Ahmed Johnson is much worse than Titus O'Neil.
Oh.
Much worse. He's horrible in the ring.
Yeah. He had
Bobby Lashley was in the biggest WrestleMania of all time until John Cena with the Trump thing. The Battle of the Billionaires. That was Bobby Lashley in that match.
Bobby Lashley versus the Savage Umaga.
Umaga, yeah.
The Savage Umaga. They always make sure, you got to make sure you have to acknowledge that he was savage.
Yeah, the Savage Umaga. And so, but here's the thing. Mark Henry's also the same dude in the mid-2000s they called the self-proclaimed silverback gorilla.
Ugh. Can we please never say that ever again?
You gotta remember this. These things all happen. This is the same company that has Saba Simba.
Ugh.
Do you remember Saba Simba? Tony Atlas?
I remember Tony Atlas. I'm glad I don't remember the other one.
Google Saba Simba.
Pass.
And look at that picture.
Pass.
With the head garb on and the spear in his hand. Like a whole spear chucker.
Hey, Brandon of the White Soul Series podcast.
Yes.
Pass.
Yeah.
I will not look that shit up. I am absolutely all set. I still can't get over the fact that Virgil still thinks that he's a slave.
Oh, yeah, see? Yeah. Or what about,
Have you ever looked up Virgil on social media?
Yes.
It's...
Mike Jones.
Huh?
Yes, Virgil, yes.
It hurts my heart, man. It's one of those things I'm like, wow, dude, you really, And it's funny because it's like, does he do it because it's a paycheck? But I'm also like, were you beaten down so much that, like, you don't realize you could be more? You know what I mean?
And then another thing. One of the biggest writers and people who were...
if you're going to say Vince Russo, say, fuck that dude.
Oh, no, I'm not talking. By the way, I listened to a podcast that's going back and rewatching all the Raws and Nitro in order.
Yeah.
Each week, 20 years ago in the past. 19 years ago in the past, and we're in year 2000 WCW. And it's so trash. It's so hilarious.
Yo, I keep telling people that WCW was trash. No one wants to fucking listen to me.
WCW was good for 1 year.
Thank you!
And a little bit of 97. By the end of 97, it was trash. 98, they made a ton of money, but it was trash. 99 is when they started losing money. In 2000, they lost something like $75 million. Something ridiculous. It was horrible. But Michael Hayes, the wrestler.
You mean the guy who who wore a Confederate flag cape into the... Yep.
He was a writer for a long time for WWE. He's still there. He's one of the top people there that has an opinion. And one of his famous sayings to people, I think Booker T said, somebody said this he was talking to, some young guy. And he basically said about a black wrestler coming up in the business was like, you don't need a gimmick. Being black is all the gimmicks you need.
That's hilarious. Let's go down the list. Coca Beware, Junkyard Dog, Virgil, Mark Henry. Do we need to continue? Reverend Devon. Shit. Let's see. K Quick.
Being black is the gimmick, and that's how a lot of them view that. Like, think about all the black wrestlers, something black or stereotypical black is related to their gimmick. Almost all of them. And to be fair, it ain't just black; it's anybody that's not American white. Because guess what? When Sheamus first came over, he was an Irishman, using the whole accent and everything.
They're doing it now.
Fit Finley. I had a leprechaun. Like, Cesaro, he's weird. He's Swedish.
You know what's funny about that is Cesaro is, again, I think it might have been John Cena who said Cesaro is one of the strongest, if not the strongest man in the WWE. Cesaro is also one of the most polished wrestlers in the WWE. But they didn't know what to do with him. It's like, so you put him in a stupid suit and turn him into a fake ass James Bond. But it's like, yeah, that's a shit gimmick. You put him with Sheamus, who was already like a Grand Slam champion. It's like, yeah, you do the same thing with Sheamus as you do with Cesaro, and you have the same thing. Cesaro is, and it's funny because he created the Cesaro section, so people loved him because he could actually wrestle. Bret Hart didn't talk a lot, but he made a big name. I'm trying to think of someone else who didn't really talk a lot, who was a wrestler. Brock Lesnar doesn't talk a lot. A lot of people had mouthpieces, so you just put somebody together with a mouthpiece, someone else who can do the talking, and then boom, instant success. But it just kills me that like they're more interested in all the stuff that could happen as opposed to what stuff that will happen as opposed to what could happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is the reason why I struggle with this storyline, is because not that I don't care if they do a racist storyline as long as the racist loses in the end, but because it's too close to home because of the reality of the behind the scenes of how black wrestlers have been treated. Like Cam said in his article, he goes, on a popular Facebook wrestling group, someone innocently asks, why are they called Harlem Heat if they're from Houston? And the response is not to explain how Kofi Kingston can be appreciated and passed over at the same time. Harlem sounds tougher than Houston. This is true. To a segment of the population, 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, Acre Homes, Houston is every bit as tough as any spot in New York. But people who don't frequent those places with people of color use the information they don't have to reach for and explain things. So when someone says Harlem sounds tougher, what they're saying is, I've been exposed to black people for the most part through media, and I associate tough black people with this area of the country. So WCW wasn't wrong naming the team Harlem Heat. He was building off the expectations of what people would ride with. And that's how it works, right? And so as we go along this ride to where we are now, yeah, when Kofi wins at WrestleMania, I'm going to be happy as fuck to finally see that. Like, to see
fun fact,
a guy like that holding the champion.
Here's a fun fact for you. I don't think Kofi's going to win.
No. See, he has to win.
No. He's not going to win.
He has to win.
Would you like to place a wager on it?
Yes, because he has to win. Have you seen the ratings recently?
Okay.
People are tuning
No.
in.
I
think a black man's about to win this championship. If they do a racist storyline again after the Booker T Triple H thing, and then the racist person is proven correct, this time being Vince McMahon, people are going to turn off the channel.
So I want you to think about everything you just said, right? And before I propose this, you thought about everything you just said, right?
Yes.
Think about everything you just said for the last 15 minutes. Do you really think Kofi Kingston's going to win?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to hold the belt for a long time, but he's going to.
No. I don't care about that. If he wins the title, he'll hold that title at least until SummerSlam. Now, I want to make sure everyone hears this properly. Do you think Kofi Kingston will win the title?
Yes, 100%.
All right. I disagree. Now, would you like to put a wager on it, on air?
Yes, anything you want.
I am going to put up a $20 Amazon comic book. So I will send you an Amazon $20 digital comic book. If you're right, if Kofi Kingston wins. Now, I want to be wrong. I want Kofi Kingston to win this. I thought Kofi Kingston should have won way back when he was feuding with Orton. Now, I'm going to ask you again. Do you want to take this bet?
Yes, 100%. He's going to win.
So it's on air.
He has to win. Yes.
This isn't like our Aquaman bet.
No, this is not like our Aquaman bet because
It was an opinion.
technically, I didn't like Aquaman. So
Yeah.
I gave it a 5.5.
Yeah, but still dope. I don't give a fuck what you say. So we have a bet, and if Kofi Kingston wins, I will send you. You have $20 of credit in Comixology.
And I will send the same if he loses.
So Comixology.com, support the Old Man Wade Show or the Why So Serious podcast. All right, man. Before we go, send your math.
Send what?
Tell everyone where they can find you.
What'd you say though? Send your math.
Your math. I'm 1,000 years old, man. What the fuck you want from me?
Yeah, you are old. Yeah, you can find me. I gallivant around Twitter all the time. I'm going in and out. Maybe that's my shit. I gallivant around Twitter all the time. You can find me at That Cool Black Nerd BLK on Twitter. I'm talking comic books, politics, wrestling, all sports, all types of shit. You can subscribe to my show, the Why So Serious podcast. It's on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcast at. And also, me and Old Man Wade Show, the Comic Book History 101.
Damn it, Wade!